The cowboy myth was never real. When you picture a cowboy, you probably see a gun, a horse, and a lone figure riding across open land. But most cowboys in the Old West didn't live that way at all. In fact, the job itself was nothing like what movies made you believe. Most cowboys were not free men. Hollywood turned cowboys into symbols of independence, lone riders, answering to no one. But the reality was closer to seasonal labor. Most cowboys were hired workers, moving cattle for ranch owners. They didn't own the land, the herd, or even their time. They worked long drives, under strict direction, often for very low pay. This wasn't freedom. It was structured, exhausting work with constant risk. And the romantic cowboy image ignores something important. Many cowboys were very young, and many were not the hardened, older figures films show. Some were barely adults. The real work was boring, not heroic. Most cowboys' work had nothing to do with gunfights or adventure. It was repetitive, physical labor. Days were spent riding in circles around cattle to keep them moving in the right direction. Night shifts involved guarding herds while exhausted, often in bad weather. There were long stretches of silence and exhaustion. No drama, no jewels, just endurance. Even cattle drives could last months. And the biggest challenge wasn't danger from enemies, it was fatigue, weather, and breakdowns in coordination. Most problems were logistical, not violent.
Double feet, whatever.
You don't have no idea what it says. You found that in some old book or something.
The real danger was not what you think. Movies suggest cowboys were constantly under threat from bandits or rival gunmen. But in reality, one of the biggest dangers was the cattle itself. Stampedes were deadly and unpredictable. A single panic in the herd could destroy weeks of work in minutes, and there was almost no way to fully stop it once it started. Weather was another major threat. Rain could turn trails into mud traps. Drought could kill the herd. Heat could exhaust both animals and men. Nature was the real opponent. Cowboys didn't look like movies. The clean leather outfits and polished hats you see in films are misleading. Real cowboys wore practical, worn-down clothing designed for durability. Clothing was patched, reused, and often dirty from constant travel. There was no stylized uniform. Everything had a function.
Calls me a good man, boy.
Just drop your gun belts on the floor. Because all I gotta do is spit.
Mr. Thornton Pierce. He owned all the land between here and Fort Lewis.
Now get your horses and walk them out of town. Skid, boy!
And you too, brother!
Brother Nathaniel. He didn't fight,
Get off my land!
but he wouldn't run.
God's land.
My land!
God's land.
Even iconic cowboy hats weren't universal in the stylized way films show. They varied by region, job, and availability. The look of the cowboy was not a brand, it was necessity.
You don't have to worry, kid. I ain't gonna kill you. You're the only friend I got.
Most cowboys never became legends. Western films focus on exceptional individuals, but most cowboys were never famous, never involved in major events, and never recorded in history. They worked for years, then moved on. Many left the job entirely after a short period due to the difficulty.
He's got a right to protect his property and his life, and we ain't letting no rancher or his lawman take either.
There was no destiny, no rise to fame, no dramatic ending. Just work, survival, and transition into something else. So the cowboy myth isn't completely false, but it's heavily edited. Hollywood took a difficult, repetitive job and turned it into a symbol of freedom, rebellion, and danger. The real cowboy story is less cinematic, but far more human.
Ain't much of a herd so far. Well, if it ain't Rufus Brady.
I don't suppose there's any work around here.
How'd it go in Charlieville?
Oh, I tried working on the railroad, but it ain't for me. I like horses.
Ain't like it used to be. Hey, Rufus? Ain't that fighting Joe? That fool.
Coming down Missionary Ridge. You don't want her. Must have all caught up with him.
The channel for westerns and more. If you enjoyed this video, hit notification to get my new videos. Check out my channel and Facebook page. The links are in the description below. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. I am Wrangler. Bye for now. See you again soon.